New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Hello, hello, hello. And we are live, up close and personal with many technical difficulties. Oh, look at my hand in front of the camera. we
Take
are.
your thumb. Move your thumb.
I will, but it
There
can't
it
go.
is.
It can't go there, buddy.
Okay. Can't go there.
So forget that. And come to here.
Okay. I'm here.
All
Hello.
right. So here we are. Here we are. So stop trying to figure it out over there.
No, I'm not trying to figure out. I'm trying to change it.
Okay. All right, here we are, and hopefully you're still there. So this has been an interesting journey into technical things. Um, so how was our week? Where shall we begin?
All right. I'm
All
trying
right.
to find time to put that on.
So we're dealing with having gone in on another computer, and we will not have ability to do all the things we usually do. So, yep, there's Gil's arm in my eye. Okay.
Hi. How's it going? Welcome. This is,
Rocking the love.
and this is Robin, and I'm Gil, apparently, because she's not talking. Okay.
So stay here. So you're not in the camera.
I know.
So let's begin by saying, Michael Mangus, I miss you. I miss you a whole lot.
But he couldn't even fix this one.
But you got to get in the camera.
I was. You're pushing me out.
So
Okay.
we're a married couple, and we're going to talk about today. Today, our topic was sacred spaces.
Yes, indeed. And how important it is to create them somewhere. And I think sometimes we miss them. I think we might have missed the sacred space today. What do you think?
Well, I do think that.
I do. I'm totally honest. That's what I was thinking.
I do think that because what we did was we knew our producer wasn't here, and instead we prioritized other things. Well, I don't know why I'm saying we, because I did my best to set up and do stuff. But anyway, here we are. So, sacred spaces and why it's important to have them in your relationships. Before we do that, we'd love to have you let us know you're here. Um, and yeah, just check in with you as well, see how your week has been and all that good stuff. How's your week?
Well, it's been stressful.
What?
And I think it sort of culminated here because it feels like there's been so many things that keep getting added. They keep getting added, and it's really difficult to figure out how to make it work. And so this morning we added a big chunk, got up early, had to go to somewhere we weren't expecting to go. And it's exhausting. It's a little bit exhausting. Plus, we're trying to work with other folks who have schedules that don't necessarily match ours and trying to take care of that. And also taking care of things for, tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. So that's what's up for me. And I think we're trying to decompress. And I think the whole idea behind sacred spaces was where do we create a space that is ours to just be with us, just be with me, for you to just be with you, for then us to be together at some point from that. And I think we all need our own sacred space, and sometimes we need our combined sacred space.
Yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting to talk about because, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I think there's more to it as well. Sacred spaces, and then the other part, of course, is what isn't a sacred space. But I think, again, at this stage of what we're all doing on this journey is focusing on being intentional and what do we want to create in our life and all that. So was that your version of how your week was?
That's about as good as I can get.
Mm.
Yeah. How was yours?
My week was good. Uh, very excited that it's baseball finals. Not as excited about the turnout of last night's game.
What happened?
Oh, really?
Really? I'm asking.
My team didn't win.
Oh, okay.
That's the short version. Gil is not a sports person, and I am, and so call it a opportunity for growth. But I don't have any tolerance for
People asking questions.
for banter, for idle banter. No, it's not for people asking questions. It's idle banter about, like, I get it that you're trying to be interested, but it's too much. It's too hard. It's too emotional. It's like asking about, your dead aunt or something, and how you miss her or something. I don't know. It's too personal. I can't explain it any more than that. Okay. Anyway, so, but other than that, my week has been good. Yeah, I don't have any real complaints, and having a teenager is real. I mean, it's really an opportunity to look at something, and why it's showing up in our life now, and how it's showing up, and where the similarities are. For example, our teenager throws everything in his room, literally. Not, I'm not talking about a messy room. I'm talking about, like, he's got a good arm reach with across the room. He just throws it, and there's stuff everywhere. And then I walk in your office and I think, huh, isn't that something? Isn't that something how the kind of chaos in Gil's office is a little, one might call, out of sorts. No, but just things like that. And I'm not picking on you as much as I'm just saying that's just what happened to come into my mind. I'm just saying it's just interesting to really figure out, where the mirror is and what we're supposed to learn, and what is really just an opportunity for us to be patient, and you know all of those things. It's a journey.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's a crazy journey.
So that's how our week has been, but there is good news, and your turn to share it.
Oh, my turn to share it. Okay. So there are some mountains in Australia which have recently been reclassified in terms of their age because of the due dating systems, etc. And it's giving a huge insight into our climate in general and how it works, and helping us understand potential climate change from the perspective of the natural process. Because what they discovered is that it was extremely wet in this area of Australia, which is generally a Mediterranean climate at this point in time. But they have these limestone formations, which would only have been created if there was a lot of water to create them in the way that they're there. And so they're using this now to go, oh, 100,000 years ago was the wettest time in the last 500,000 years in Australia, it would appear. And so they're looking at how the water and the moisture changes over time, just on its own, and then how that affects what we're dealing with now, or may affect what we're dealing with now. So very interesting.
That is interesting. What's fascinating to me is really how much the past really informs the now. Like, I know we hear about that all our lives, but really, like, the fact that thousands of years ago we're looking at to determine climate change now, it's fascinating.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, the reality is that it all comes back around. It all comes back around to what we know, or what we have known, um, and what we've already been taught in a way through what's happened in our world. And so, um, And so the more we look and learn about what's happened before, the more we understand what's happening now or what can happen in the future, which is pretty good.
Pretty fascinating, since there's only the now.
Right. So how the hell does that work?
It makes me tired. Anyway, but that's great. That's great. I love that story. My story is about a happy situation after Hurricane Helene.
I got to interrupt you for just a second. I
feel
want to
that.
acknowledge, yes, Shay, we can see you, and thank you for commenting. And we're looking at two different screens now to be able to see you. So that's part of the reason I didn't say anything. But thank you so much. Here, let me see if I can see. There you are. We can see you. Hi, thanks for being here. Thanks for the suggestion of taking a deep breath. I think we both did it at some point in that last few minutes. All right, go ahead with your story.
Thanks, Shay. Shay's our coach. Shay's our multifaceted, talented listener who is also a wonderful healer and apparently our business coach. So, one big breath for Shay. Okay, thank you. So, it takes a village. So, my story is about a happy story from the Hurricane Helene, where in Tennessee, the rescue people, the searchers, the firemen, the rescue crew were out searching on October 2nd, so, and which was a few days after. And they were with their canine dog who started barking hysterically, barking. And, they went and they looked and they didn't see anything. And they looked up and there was a dog in the tree.
Oh my God.
So they rescued the dog in the tree who was terrified.
Wait. A dog in the tree? That is not a normal place for a dog.
No, the firemen were like, not our usual call. But they climbed up and the dog, of course, was terrified. They had food and, he started coming after the food and then he, jumped into their arms and they came down the ladder and he was reunited with his family and yeah, it's a, great story. So it's just funny for that reason.
Yeah, well, and it makes me think, like, what would it be like to be in that hurricane if your dog can end up in a tree?
Well,
that's fascinating.
The owners, the dog's name is Athena. The owners said they lost everything, and they said, they were weeping, they were crying, they were laughing, they were so happy, So it's a beautiful story.
Poor dog.
They said that their reunion with the dog was their light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, so. I'm sure. I can only imagine.
Yeah. So on that note, we're just sending out lots of positive thoughts to everybody in the way of the hurricanes. What is it? Everywhere.
Yes, there's another one coming right now.
In Florida, right?
Yeah, coming into Florida. And it's scheduled to be very serious. So
kind of goes along with your weather.
Our climate is always moving and changing, and I think we're always realizing that it's not just a simple thing of our deciding what happens in the world. We have to deal with the natural world. We have to deal with the order of life, if you will. And humans tend to think that if we, I don't know, cement over it, put up a building, it's ours now. It's not going to be affected.
Paradise.
And put up a parking lot, yeah, or a parking garage, whatever's preferable.
All right. Well, we're going to take a minute and we're going to take another breath. And you're going to see some stuff that's coming up right here on New Thought Media. So come back in a second and join us for Sacred Spaces, delving into how creating sacred spaces in our relationship. Okay, see you in a minute.
Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. The Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And we are back and breathing and welcome. Hello, John. Good to see you. Good to see Shay.
And we'd love to hear from everybody else that's on with us today because we love to get your comments and know what's going on. I am Gil, and this is
Robin.
And we are with you with Rockin' the Love, which is our opportunity each week to work together for at least an hour and try to figure it out.
Yes, that's what 20 years of relationship will do to you. This is our date day.
It's holiday.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Well, that I didn't mention. Every day this week's been a date. A couple of them I've thought that was a really lousy date. All right. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about sacred spaces, and I think this kind of caught our attention because I don't know. I think in part because we've been working to kind of organize our house and that kind of stuff, and so it's kind of come up this idea that where do we have a space that feels safe? Where do we have a space where we can go and contemplate or pray or meditate or just read a
Breathe.
book, just hang out. And it's interesting because I don't know. For me, I don't feel as much like we have that space in our house at the moment. It feels like wherever I go, someone follows me. And
You're talking about the dog or the kid?
Yes, both sometimes. But the idea of where do we find a space that's that allows us to breathe and regroup. Like at the beginning of this, because of the stress of having it not work and we're live and all that stuff. Where do we go? Do we have physical places? Do we have mental places? And how does that affect the rest of our life, our relationship with ourselves and others?
Right. And I think it's really important. I mean, not only in our personal relationships, but even even in a work relationship, and um, I think that, that's what corporations have started to realize, right? That's why, they've started to put in the employee rec room or the break room or the,
with a real, like, something to do. And yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, but at least it's a space to go away and do something, like that, whether you use it or not, and I think the importance of some of the importance of that is, um, the intentionality of it, and I think that, um, it's important to create intentional spaces. I know that you and I, will be like, okay, let's meditate, but it's not like we have our meditation spot or we go in front of our altar or we don't do that.
it's true. And as you said it, I think I'm not very good at having um, that sacred space of time.
Right.
Yeah, like, a space in my day cut out for being in communion with myself, with spirit, with whatever. That's a harder thing. That's just, it's another aspect of this. Having a sacred space I can physically go to, and the sacred space I can go to in my day, and I know is there.
So, well, okay, so you bring up a good point. So I think that the value of creating a sacred space brings up, um, I mean, that's one of the benefits to it, right? Creating a deeper connection, a deeper connection with spirit, or a deeper connection with your partner. If you're in a relationship and you're creating a sacred space together, um, because it goes to commitment, like you said,
Hmm.
and not, I mean, a commitment with both. Um, I also think that, like, one of the I'm talking about the benefits.
Okay, benefits. Excellent.
I think,
Let's talk about benefits.
oh God,
Does this give you health care?
oh sorry, y'all. Just a marital moment. We don't even know what it's about. It just is one. Um, but I think creating things like that can also alleviate stress.
Uh-huh.
It takes. I think in that intentionality, that regularity, that knowing the plan, just knowing that, oh, we go outside to our patio and there's our fountain that we meditate. That's where we meditate. Or knowing that that's set aside for that, kind of designating that, I think that that's kind of a stress reliever, because you're not like, when are we going to do it? Where are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? What's it going to look like? Like, you can let go of that and know that, well, however it looks, it happens here.
And
Or
and I think we set those things up for ourselves and don't even consciously realize it to some degree. Because I was just thinking about the fact that one of the things I'm missing right now, because of current physical health that I've been kind of going along with, is riding my bike. And when I go out on my bike and I just go, it's a space where I'm just able to let whatever happens go through my head. It's a very meditative kind of thing when I'm doing it.
right,
And so when I don't do it,
it's a missing.
it's a missing. Yeah, it's a missing. And I think sometimes our sacred space is things like that, and they inadvertently get cut out of our day, and all of a sudden, you realize, oh, I'm I'm needing this. Where was I getting that even? You know?
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point, because I mean, that uh, we create a sacred space with ourselves, and I mean, that's our own self love, self time, right? And which is very valuable and very important, just not where we started the conversation. And so, yeah, I think, and I also think, if you don't have that in line, it's hard to get the other in line.
Right. Right.
It's a step one, step two, kind of, in a way. And it may go step two, step one. I mean, maybe if you can commit to somebody else, then you can commit to yourself.
That's true.
So
Sometimes that's easier for us.
it's not that there's a real order, but I mean, yeah, well, and also if you're creating a space with somebody, then you're sharing an intention. And that's, that's a deeper commitment. So that may lead you to be able to do it on your own.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to blow off oneself than to blow off someone else.
That sounded dirty.
Stop.
You stop. Okay, anyway, oh, it's a wild one. Yeah. So yeah, and for those of you, I don't want anyone out there to be concerned about Gil because he's so cryptic on his health challenge. If you weren't listening to our show every week, first of all, why not? But second of all, he has a kidney stone to which we welcome prayers, and any of you healers that want to push that stone through, break it up, do whatever you can so that he doesn't have to have an operation. That would be gratefully appreciated. But that's what's going on. So he's fine, and there's been a couple of painful, iffy moments, but
it's not a big deal in this moment. It's only a big deal when
it's a
it
big
hurts.
Deal. Yeah. So anyway, I mean that's the health thing that has kept him from just jumping on a bicycle. Yeah, and so I think the other benefit is I think when you when you do this with yourself or with your partner or with your best friend or a buddy, it creates that space to to grow. I mean, and to I don't know about you, but I'm guessing. Well, I mean, we always feel better when we've accomplished. When we've stuck to our goals and we've accomplished things. And so I think it supports you in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you've done something that you committed to. But I think even more than that, doing it with someone is it's just an encouragement for me to have somebody else that I know I'm doing it with, and then I can, that somehow we've had a shared experience, whatever it is, whether it's really shared or it's just that we were committed to sitting down at the same time somewhere, not in the same place, but just committed that when I commit to someone else, sometimes that supports me in serving myself.
Right. And I think, and I think, again, speaking of relationships and partnerships, and again, I know it's the same. You partner with yourself. Every time I hear myself say partner, I think, why are you discriminating? It's yourself. There's only one of us here. So I'm aware of that. But what I was going to say is that it 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 helps to align you with your goals, with your purpose, with your, like us working on the house together was so much more rewarding than me working on the house alone.
Right.
Not that I don't have a sense of, no, seriously, not that I don't have a sense of, I mean, like I felt good about all the work I did and getting things done. But when we do it together, there's a different sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's like, look at us go team,
And not only that, there's a I don't know, I think there's a synergy when we do anything with someone else. When we do that together, it's like somehow it feels less, if there's any sense of a burden in it or any sense of a need for, motivation or whatever, it feels like it's easier when it's with someone else. Quite often. For me.
Yeah, and I also think there's a different, maybe not, but I feel like there's a different level of buy-in. Like it's really nice when you clean the house or something, but it's different when we've taken care of the space together.
Right. Right. And the reality is that only happens certain times. It's a gift when that happens. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a gift when we have the time and the space and the whatever to really do whatever it is that needs to be done together. And all of us, find that in certain places in our lives where that can show up.
Yeah. So how are some of the ways? Sorry, you guys. It's so dry right now here. I don't know why, but it's very dry. Anyway, so what are some of the ways that we can do that? Like, how do we create that sacred space for each other? In the chat, let me see if anyone in the chat. How do you create a sacred space for yourself? And whether it's just, there's this tree I love that I sit under that's quiet, and that's where I like to meditate and speak with nature, or if you have a special place in your room or a special altar, what are some of the things that you do? And what do you do? How do you personalize the space?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, sorry, I'm thinking even like, your sacred space, not right now, but your sacred space is kind of the garage,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And like, so what does it do to you when our garage is in chaos or disarray and you don't have your tools set up? And I know it's a thing that all these tools and all these nuts and bolts and all these things that we spent thousands of dollars to keep in storage and move with us. Like, if it was me, I would want them at least in order.
Right.
I mean, so what does that do to
Well,
you?
it's the same thing about, organizing in a bedroom and having stuff where you can find it, and organizing, in your living room or whatever it is, you know. Um, but um, but yeah, sometimes that's really stressful. And we were clearing some things out of the house and we were putting them into the garage, and it was difficult at first to do that because I needed to see that I wasn't that I was able to minimize the impact on what was already impacted in
Right,
there.
right,
And the fact was we had done enough work both on what was inside that needed to go out and what was outside, where we cleared some things that we were able to um, basically not make it any worse,
right.
you know, but yet clean out the house. So there was a win. It was a win-win.
Yeah.
Um, and but yeah, if I had that space set up, totally set up, and I could go out and have room to put up my bike stand and tear apart my bike and do those things when I had 20 minutes or half an hour, that would be a different thing.
Right.
That would be a sacred kind of space.
Right. And so what can people do to create that space? Even if it's a small space.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. But like, is there a place that where's the place where you come and you can, maybe it's the place where you feel blocked. Maybe there's something in that space, but like, how do we incorporate um uh, okay.
Okay. So Shay is showing off now. Her whole home is sacred space. She keeps it neat and clean and feng shui. I hear you. I hear you. But it won't matter unless the sacred space inside of me is aligned. And that's a really excellent point. What we're talking about is an external thing that might support us in getting to the internal space, right? And the reality is the internal space is where we have to get to. Uh, and yes, maintaining our space in a way that feels good to us and works for us is one of the things that, for me, allows me to get to that place, the get place inside. And the other side of that is, if I'm really out of sorts inside, it doesn't matter. you know but I think it's a both and. Sometimes we go into the sacred space and sort of ask it to help us get there, and sometimes we come into the sacred space and we almost, like, uh, we make it more sacred in a sense. We're there and we just, ooh, this is great.
Yeah. And I think I love what she said. And I feel like that as well. And I really feel like that because I feel like in our house, sorry, once again, damn teenagers. I feel like I just kidding. I feel like, that's why when there's breadcrumbs on the counter from the 4 sandwiches he's made, it's frustrating. It's like, just wipe it off. It's my counter. It's my sacred counter, Or when he throws his size 14 shoes down in front of the couch, I'm like, and there are times when that affects me more than others, because it's like my space. And so I think that's why for those of us that have any other thing that gets in the way, a relationship, if you live with a parent or a sibling or a roommate or a partner, or it's like, how do you create, like, don't do that here because that's my sacred space, or let's create the sacred space together so that we both know, here is where we do this, here's where we unwind, here's where we breathe, here's where we keep moving.
Rejuvenate.
You rejuvenate. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And what I was realizing as you were talking is I think too, when I get more disturbed by something messing up my space, particularly when, as Shay said, it doesn't matter unless my sacred space inside is clear, And so when I'm not at all in touch with that, then the outside just feels very unnerving at some level, or can on certain occasions. Like the breadcrumbs on the counter become, as if we left elephant turds on the counter.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, and so one must channel like their inner Buddhist to be like, this is nothing in the big scheme of life, But I think it's like figuring out those rituals and things, even if it's something like, oh look, there's breadcrumbs on the counter, I'd like to kill him. Me having that place to go back and go, I am more than this, whatever, and go outside to our meditation spot, or go to,
right,
go to that practice,
right,
of, knowing that this too shall pass and I am more than this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
yes.
So I think for me, I would like to commit to doing a better job of creating a space or two at home that works in that way.
I'm laughing, everybody, because this is the last day of Amazon deal day. And he's got quite a few items in his cart that would help create that space.
I think they would do an excellent job. And I don't think we should allow Amazon to maintain those items in their possession, hogging up their space. I just think it's just not a good.
Oh God, it makes me laugh because I mean, I love it. I love when Gil is in this mode because it is. We're in a very, it's fall, starting to cool down. We've cleaned our house to a place where, the boxes, we can't see them, at least. They're in the garage or wherever. And now we're like nesting, creating a new patio. And I could hear the conversation after this show. We'll be like, oh, that fire pit, we could meditate there in the evening before bed. I could hear my husband thinking, but I have to act like the logical one. This is the place in partnership where one of you takes the logical stance, even though you give in the end because you want it too. So there's the real marriage tips for today. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yes, I agree. I do think we should commit to some more spaces, especially because we have that vision, like for like a pond and a place out there. I mean, there is a place in our backyard that when we showed up at the house to rent it, it said, "Oh, there's the meditation place," and so making it happen. So what can you commit to? What will give you inner peace and sanctuary? And I know, Shay, obviously you have practices that you've put in place. And I know, like, whether it's meditation or whether it's journaling, or what are the ways that you can create and maintain really that kind of space? And really, I mean, really, because I don't know, anybody who's been in this movement or any kind of new thought for a long time has talked about journaling and meditating forever. And if that's not what you do, is there something else that you can do and really do it? Find that.
It's so interesting because we talk about being, and at some level I see this all about figuring out how to be, and yet there's a doingness to it, and the doingness is being committed to find your way into the being. You know what I mean? I mean, like the whole idea of journaling or being in meditation or whatever is to allow yourself to come into the moment, really listen to where you're at right now, and to really be in touch with spirit right in the moment. And so that's a doing in a way that brings us to that place of being. It's such an interesting juxtaposition for me.
I think that's why they wrote that song. Doobie doobie doo.
Oh, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Sorry, heard a little
I thought it
channeling, a
was
little Frank
Yappa Dabba Doo.
Sinatra.
That's what I thought it was.
Well, that's the problem. So, but yeah, no, I think that's really important. But I also think, along with what you were saying, realizing that there are a thousands of different ways to kiss the ground. There are 1,000 different ways to do this, and your way may be listening to music.
Yeah.
It may be playing music. It may be sitting in front of an instrument, even if you don't know how to play. That may be the place that takes you to your inner space of being able to breathe into the sacred, and truly, um, I think that your sacred space is wherever you can find yourself again on the journey. Wherever you truly can breathe and return to yourself. I mean, I know for me, it's breathing. Breathing for me, and intentional breathing, really stopping and taking a breath, and going through the first step of prayer, and realizing that as God is, I am, and really settling into that. And that's all I need to just at least anchor and presence myself and come back to that space. And again, it can be anything. It could be poetry. It could be a saying that your mom said to you all your life. There's so many ways to get there. But like you said, acknowledging, this is one of my ways, and really making that a sacred place to stop and pause and call on it when you need to.
Shay says, I use all my techniques and technology to clear out everything that isn't inner peace, to allow it to emerge. I struggle at times. And yes, indeed, we all do. But I think that's an interesting statement, all my techniques and technology, that there are, as Robin was just saying, there are so many ways to approach this. And we have over our lives learned probably several of them, if not many of them. And um, and sometimes, we have to kind of sort through those things and find which is working for us in the moment, uh, and allow ourselves the space to go, I don't know exactly what to do right now. I just need to somehow access what's going on.
Yeah, and I think for me, that also, I'm very sensitive nowadays to the languaging I use, and um and really inviting the struggle to become something else, to become, oh, look, here's that thing again, you know what, thing, I'm done with you. And sometimes I name the thing. Sometimes it's, it has a name. Sometimes I can look at it and go, Ernie, we're not having this conversation anymore. I told you I'm willing for you to live here, and I'm transmuting your energy to this, but I can't, I'm not struggling anymore. This is not struggling. There is no struggle in God. I am breathing, and I am remembering exactly who I am in this moment, and moving it forward in a different way. You know what I mean? Because this is just for me, Shay. I'm not. It's nothing personal. If I declare something a struggle, oh, God knows I'm all in and ready to battle, and it keeps going back and forth. It's like having a teenager, because he'll go to battle with me at any time about anything, and I'll go to battle back because we're the same. We are the same, which is why it happened. It's so frustrating, but I mean, I will battle because I'm in it to win it, right? And so, I have to. I don't know. I have to play mind games with myself. I do. But anyway, there's so much more we can talk about, and perhaps we'll continue this conversation at another time.
Well, let's just hit on what Shay said. Can I have peace even in the midst of it all? And that's a great question to ask ourselves. And I think that's you said earlier, I'm more than this. And no matter what seems to be in the way of that peace, that's not what defines me. What defines me is the goal is God. The goal is to be related to spirit, to know our relationship with spirit more accurately. Um,
Yeah.
and so, and some of that, yeah, as it says in the Course of Miracles. So there's so many different places where we learn these things.
Yeah.
Or we hear them and then later we decide we might learn from them. It depends.
Right. Or we learn from them later and go, oh, yeah, I remember
Look
when
at
I heard
that.
this.
Oh, wow. All right. Well,
We're on a loop.
this is, I apologize for any whatever in this show. It was a rough start for me emotionally, uh, and I think we've made it, and we appreciate you hanging in there with us. And that's how it goes. It's life.
And this is our sacred space, and we're so happy that you've joined us in it. And we would love to see you again next week. So come back, y'all. And our producer, Michael Mangus, will be back. Thank you. Thank you.
You back next week already? Have we gone 2 weeks?
Oh, he's gone 2 weeks. But there's no space and time. Somehow, it'll be a beautiful show. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, just remember your sacred space is where you can find yourself again. So just take notice of where that is this week. And maybe you'll even find some new space or something new that lends itself to the conversation. So thank you so much, you all. Good to have you here. Thank you, Shay. Thank you, John. And we'll see you next week.
And thank you, Kim. Thank you. We're grateful you were here. I'm glad we could make the day a little better. Blessings to you all right here from from Rockin' the Love. We are happy to be here, and we will see you next week. Bye now.
Bye.